Welcome back. This is By the Book, and we're your married relationship coaches. I'm Sent.
I'm Sil.
And today we're talking about Married at First Sight, Season 17, Episode 7, I believe. Talking about Lauren and Orion.
Mm-hmm.
More of the same, just messy. And
this couple just cannot get it right.
No. I don't know if, well, anyway, I'll reserve that opinion until later. But anyhow, we want you guys' opinions. We're trying to have a meaningful discussion and debate about what's going on with Lauren and Orion. One of my theories early on, and I maintain this theory, is that neither of them are particularly attracted to the other. And perhaps even that is the case more so with Orion going Lauren's way, which I would have thought it would be the other way around. But nonetheless, I just don't think that they're that attracted. And so while I feel like they are committed to the process, I don't know if that's the case so much anymore.
Yeah.
But I feel like it makes it difficult to move past things in a healthy way because all marriage is going to have conflict, right?
True.
So anyway, we're still at the conversation at the beginning of this episode where Orion took sex off of the table because Lauren had, or because he said, this was his reasoning, that Lauren had sex 2 months prior to this process or to getting married or whatever. So he's not comfortable with that. He expresses it. And Lauren wants to know why. You know, she feels judged. She said that at the table.
Rightfully so, yeah.
And so that's the debate, I guess, that I want to have, you know, with you and with, you know, everybody who's watching is, do you feel like that was true for him? Do you feel like he took sex off the table because he was uncomfortable with the fact that she had had sex 2 months ago? Or do you feel like it had more to do with their attraction for one another? Do you feel like it had more to do, which we'll discuss more in depth later, with the racial element that's present here?
I think the racial element never left. It was still very present with him.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll talk about that, you know, more in detail later. But I'm just, your knee-jerk reaction when you saw that in that moment before we got through the entirety of this episode. Did you feel that?
Yeah, I did.
That time?
I did. I kind of felt like that was still kind of like on the back burner for him, and him being confronted with this 2 month sex thing. Then he walked back.
Yeah.
And then he walked it forward. Then he walked it back again.
And that was so frustrating. And I applaud Lauren for really holding his feet to the fire and not allowing him to gaslight her in that, because he tried to say that that's not what it was. And she's like, well, then why did you say that that's what it was if it isn't? Yeah. You know, like, tell me one thing, stick with it. As she said, stand on it. And I agree with that. My thing about this process, and if you guys have watched us, you know, in not episodes, but in the seasons prior, you'll hear this as a consistent point for me. I don't mind as much if people just can't move forward in a process. If you are in this and you met somebody, this is like a glorified blind date to me. And if you find it the case that this person right off the bat isn't it for you, or they offend you so greatly very early on and you can't get past it, I'm okay with that. But just call that spade a spade and walk away. Like, don't drag it on. Don't damage people. And that's what I feel like Orion is in position to do, is to damage her, because we see her giving everything that she can to mend the fence, so to speak. And she can't do it. And we only get to that truth after what looks like a couple of days worth of agony for her, you know, at the end of this episode. So, yeah, like I said, I'm very proud of her for standing up, you know, for what she heard and not being like twist and turned around by his flip-flopping. You know, she's calling him out. She's telling him, first of all, don't give me an apology that's I'm sorry if you felt that way. Like, if you're sorry, then be sorry.
Yeah.
You know, And I'm with her on that too.
Yeah, I felt that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what is your opinion overall of the way we spent a lot of time on Lauren and Orion this episode, rightfully so, because they had the most drama.
Yeah.
But unpacking what is really going on between them and the reason that this marriage is obviously going to fail is a little bit nuanced for me, because I've been trying to figure out from the beginning, and I said ever since that comment that it might have been an excuse, that racial comment, it might have been an excuse that Orion used to kind of wiggle out of the relationship, although it was a bad enough joke for it to have an effect on him, a significant effect. Now, is he taking it too far? I hate to say that because you can't get into how someone feels.
I don't care how he feels
about being offended in a certain type of way,
but then get over it. In some kind of way. You're a grown man, and I'm just gonna call it as it's supposed to be. You're a grown man who said I do. You said I am, and I'm taking this woman as my wife. And you went through with your commitment and your vows. As Lauren said, stand on that. You know, it's not about how you feel at this particular point. Too many marriages, too many relationships get flushed down the toilet because of how people feel in a moment. You feel hot, you feel cold, you feel upset, you feel anger, you feel hurt, and these feelings pass. And so, give it the old college try, if you want to say, you put everything in it, put your feelings on the back burner, and start to work through it. It's real funny in the beginning that when they were having that little conversation and they were basically, we'll just talk it out, you know? Yeah, well, put your big boy drawers on and talk it out. Or, you know, however you want to do it. I have to, first of all, I got to commend the experts on this episode. I'm gonna tell you why. Because at least they were somewhat present for this couple.
They needed
twice.
They needed to be,
and it's still getting flushed down the toilet.
It is, but okay, I get you on the you committed. Stick with this. Yes. Do whatever the case may be. But I feel like this is a unique challenge, and I feel like it's present probably not just in this type of situation, but in any kind of interracial dating situation, because you're running into cultural things that you haven't necessarily encountered before.
Yeah,
I don't think either one of them has dated that respective race for each other. So Lauren hasn't been with an indigenous person. Orion hasn't been with a black person. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that, right?
I think they both said that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with a unique challenge in that, and I feel like a lot of grace has to be given.
Yes.
But not everybody feels that way, and I have to be able to respect the pride and culture and maybe even the defensiveness that he may feel when he feels racially attacked.
But he wasn't attacked.
It was a
joke.
I said when he feels.
And he even said it was just a distasteful joke. And I agree with him on that. However, let me just cut to what I really, really think on a spiritual level. Biblical level. Jesus said, I'll never leave nor forsake you. I'll never leave you physically. I won't forsake you, so I won't leave you mentally. He didn't leave physically, but mentally, this man checked out.
Well, he's not Jesus.
He's not. So... But in order for sometimes a relationship to work, the person who's offended has to step back and think about, how can I redeem this relationship? And he didn't.
Okay. And I'm glad you said that, because here's my thing. I feel like when you're very attracted to somebody, that changes things a little bit, right? So I feel like if he were really into her and she into him, and she might be a little bit more into him than he's into her. But different types of grace are given depending on other levels of attraction. So I feel like the fact that he might not have been attracted to her that much in the first place just makes this all the less palatable for him. You know, it's something that he's like, you know, I wasn't even feeling her that much anyway. Like, she shouldn't have never said that because I'm not going to be able to get over it. And that's what it seems like to me, because his whole countenance was different. Even as she was trying to, you know, be physically affectionate toward him, laying on him on the boat and everything, and trying to really push past everything that had just happened, even going so far as to having that sex conversation. You know, I still feel like that was part of her mending fences.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it just went, you know, horribly in the wrong direction. And I think that's why we're finding him backpedaling, because I think that he is reaching at multiple reasons to distance himself, or excuses, you know, to distance himself from her. And whichever one works the best, he's going to use it. So at that particular time, he said what he said about the sex, you know, being off the table because of when she had last had sex. I think that that was a convenient opportunity for him to do that. But he wasn't prepared for her to hold his feet to the fire. And you heard when he was talking to, I think it was Dr. Pia at the time, he was like, I started to get confused. And I'm like, yeah, you seem confused, because he's not used, I don't think in any way he's used to being challenged in that way by a woman, where somebody is really holding his feet to the fire like that.
Well, he wants to have his cake and eat it too. He wants to say what he wants to say, how he feels, but he doesn't want to be labeled as the bad guy, you know. And so, yeah, he was put off by the sex 2 months prior thing. He was put off by the Redskin comment. He's put off by both of those. And yeah, he could have been put off by her physically, but he was working with that until those comments were made. And so...
Do you think so? See, I don't know if I think he was committed to the relationship even prior to...
I think he was rolling with it. I think he was rolling with it until he showed his immaturity. He showed his incapability of working through a situation that you have with your wife. I mean, come on. Sometimes you do have to put your feelings on the back burner, and like I was about to say, and figure out a way how to redeem the relationship. It's not about how you feel at that particular point. It's about your relationship. How can I heal it? How can I mend it? How can I redeem it? And you can't do that if you responded in an immature way to your situation. It's an immature and selfish way to respond, because we all have feelings, but sometimes we have to set our feelings aside for the greater good. And that's your relationship. That's your marriage. Put your marriage first. Put your commitment first and work through it.
Yeah. I mean, no, this is the thing. I get that. But do you remember when Lauren said, you know, I didn't feel like you were my husband in that moment. I felt like you were a guy I met 6 days ago, or 7 days ago, whatever. That's exactly what he is. Yeah. And that was our thing. I'm like, yeah, that's what he is. He's the guy that you met 6 or 7 days ago. And my feelings about that, I was thinking more for her, like as if she were my sister or my friend or something like that. And I'm like, don't allow this man to damage you because he's just a man you met 6 days ago. Yeah. That's where I am with it. And that's why I feel like in this process, a lot of people are, as I would be, kind of arm's lengthy, because it's hard to allow yourself to be close to someone who you haven't known for a substantial period of time. And just as that's the case, or should be the case, I wish it were more the case for her, it is the case for him. Yeah. He's not, I mean, he's trying to do the right things, I think, or at least he's trying to say he's doing the right things. But I don't think, he's not approaching this as a real marriage where the commitment level and the caring and the, you know, he's not invested. I guess is what I'm saying. He's not fully invested in this to where he's going to be like, oh, I'm going to give you all the grace that you need or deserve or beyond what you may deserve in this situation. He's not there.
No, he's not there. But here, what I think she was saying, though, when she made the comment of the 6 days, you know, You seem like a person I met 6 days ago and not my husband. Well, I think prior to that, I believe he was a man that she met 6 days ago that was trying to be her husband. Now he's not. He's closed off. He's shut down. He's retreated into his, I don't know what you want to call it, but definitely into himself. You know, he's trying to protect himself. He's trying to do all that stuff. So yeah, so I think he started out trying to be her husband, and he stopped.
Yeah. I mean, and that's too bad. And I feel like the most unfortunate part of this episode is the conversation that happened last with Pastor Cal. I mean, at least when they talked to Dr. Pia, I felt like
there was some hope.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like the conversation with Pastor Cal kind of removed all hope, because how do you come back from Orion saying, you know, unfortunately, basically, I can't forgive her. I can't forgive those comments. The weight of her words that he has assigned is so heavy. It's beyond anything that she really deserves to have to carry.
Very true.
You know, he's saying, and I'm trying to be as open and empathetic as possible in terms of racially insensitive comments and how he may have received it. Nonetheless, it's like, okay, you said that she offended you, your entire community, your family.
Yes.
And every Native American person in this country.
Yes.
It may be outside of it too, is going to be looking at this as if they all watch Married at First Sight, you know, and judging him, I guess, based upon if he did enough to stand up for his. I mean, is this how you receive this?
That's how I receive it.
That's how I'm receiving it. So you've put me in this position where it's me. I either take a stand with you, and it's us against my whole community and my family and everything else, or I like kick you to the curb and I get to stay, you know, where I was with my community. And to assign that level of blame to her, that's where I agree with you, that it's just too much.
Yeah.
Like, that is not fair, particularly when she did not say something directly and purposefully insulting to him.
Exactly.
You know, if she had come out and called him that derogatory name, I almost could have went with him for that. Because if you know, parallel that situation, if you or I were in a relationship with a non-African American person, and they called us the N-word or something like that in a hostile fashion, I could sever that tie. I could probably sever that tie even if it had been 6 months rather than 6 days. You know what I mean? That wouldn't be hard to do. But for them to be perhaps joking with me and make a comment about my complexion or my hair texture or something like that, that you know, was very ill-timed, placed, and everything else. Yes, I might take offense. It may hurt my feelings. But I think at the end of the day, judging off of their intention and off of their, I don't know, contrition, off of them being remorseful, I think that I could get with forgiveness in that situation. I don't think it would be something where I would have to forever hold them accountable for all the racism I've experienced in my life and assign blame in terms of like offense to my community and my family.
Yeah, because he even brought up the instance when he was a kid and called him an apple. I mean, it was so weighty for anyone to come from underneath it. And that's why last week I was asking you, should that be the unforgivable sin for a relationship, a joke that went awry? I mean, come on, man.
It's tough.
He's making it tougher than what it needs to be.
Maybe. But people us included, you know, we just have our own feelings about racial insensitivities. So I don't want to necessarily take it away from him. And again, I'll say it every time. I'm not familiar with the Native American community or culture to be saying, oh, they should treat this just like we treat whatever. I can't parallel that because it's not fair for me to do. So I say this. I'll leave y'all with this. As I will always say, if this is a deal breaker for you, then break the deal. Just don't drag her along in this process. And if he's going to be immature acting and flip-floppy like he is seeming to be, although it seems like next episode he may give us a little more solid, you know, even if it's not what we want to hear and it's, hey, we're going to get divorced. But if he's not going to do it, then she needs to. She needs to recognize this is not healthy for me. I can't fall on enough swords to be forgiven for this. And it's unfortunate and it hurts that I may have blown an opportunity to have a marriage. But this ain't it.
No.
You know, this is not going to work.
No, it's definitely, and I agree with you. We both gave our disclaimers a few episodes ago about our lack of understanding as far as the Native Americans of this country. You know, we don't know. So that's why I base my opinion upon marriage, what I know of marriage, and what I know about a relationship between a man and a woman. That's why I'm staking it upon. And when I see them both sit there with Dr. Pia, and Pastor Cal, and then the conversation that they had with one another. And this is what I heard. I feel. There's
a lot of feeling.
That's a lot of feel in there. And someone has to take ownership and responsibility as a grown-up adult and be like, my feelings, it doesn't matter at this particular point. I have a woman sitting across from me. She's my wife, and I'm committed to her. So how can I heal this relationship? How can I redeem the relationship? And if you're not man enough to do it, then, yeah, like you said, let it go.
Because, break the deal.
You know, because, dude, you wasn't ready. I'm sorry. He wasn't ready. Even he may not be attracted to her, but he wasn't ready for her. And he's not ready for anybody, because even if this woman was his number 10 out of 10, sometimes problems are going to happen. You know, you're going to have some misunderstandings. You're going to have some issues. And you're going to have to be the man, and you're going to have to say, I'm going to have to put my feelings aside. And I need to heal this relationship. That's what you do. That's what a husband is supposed to do. And sitting there talking about, I feel. And then you having a back paddle, you know, upon your statements.
Yeah, because he's not confident in that. He doesn't want to stand in it. And like you said, he doesn't want to look bad. I don't know. This is a mess, y'all. But I'm hoping when Dr. Pia asks, do you want to get a divorce, that at least one of them has the sense enough to say yes. Because it's rough. I hate it. Now I got to root for Michael to come back because I don't like any of these couples all that much.
But you know what, too? You know, what I was thinking about with them, you know how, like, when people first get into a relationship and they're so in love with one another, I'm talking about for real, you know, not this show, but when they get into a relationship, and what do they say? What do they think? I think I found the one. And then as soon as they have an argument or something comes out of nowhere, then what do they say? I think I found the wrong one. And so it's just like, stop. You have to put some work in. You got to communicate. And sometimes you have to put your feelings on the back burner and deal with the situation. That's the only way I know for it to work. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, if the experts are able to rescue this relationship, I may have some newfound hope in the experts. But I don't think it's going to happen. So hopefully they get divorced next week and we can just focus on the rest of the couple. Because I'm over them. Anyway, y'all, yeah, we're gonna let that be the
We're gonna
end
let it
of
roll.
it. We may have some
Might
follow
as
up
well.
sidebars or something like
because
that.
he was reminding
come.
me of Morgan. You remember Morgan that wouldn't forgive old boy?
Oh, Lord.
That's what he was reminding me of. Morgan.
See if he throws some roses on the ground.
Male version of Morgan.
Let us know if you think that's a fair comparison.
To me, it is.
Anyway, guys, we're gonna check out here, and kudos to my husband for holding the baby the entire time during this video. He don't like to sit still for me like that. So, without further ado, please like, share, and subscribe, guys. We will talk to you all soon.
Bye.
Oh, it's the baby.